If you're going to use white paint in your home, make it warm. At least that seems to be the overwhelming trend nowadays, and I think this trend is going to be a thing for a while. We're focusing on Vanillin by Sherwin Williams, color code SW6371. If you want to add some beautiful warmth to your home, this is a color to look at, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Also, some spectacular color pairings that I picked to go with it, so you can have a whole color palette all to yourself and the thousands of others watching. Stay tuned to the end because I'm also going to tell you some baseboard colors for your doors and your trim and all that stuff. Very, very important. I'm giving you all the answers today. If you clicked on this video, I'm pretty excited for you because chances are you're thinking of painting something in your home, whether it's a bedroom, maybe a kitchen, or even the hallway. You may be looking at this color for that project, and right off the bat, I think it's a pretty solid choice for those purposes. The big reason for that is Vanillin is a beautiful, bright, yellow undertoned paint color that feels creamy, almost buttery at times, and it is sure to brighten up whatever space you decide to use it in. On a more technical note, it has an LRV of 78, and this makes it pretty bright. That puts it decently close to the extremely bright whites that Sherwin Williams makes. And just a word of caution on using those brighter and lighter colors like this on your walls. Although they reflect more light and brighten up the space, which is nice, if there's too much light hitting it, it could wash the color out, so you won't really see the subtle nuances as much. But to a lot of people, the pros of going lighter and brighter outweigh the cons. So don't be too scared. Like I said, the undertone here is mainly based in yellow, maybe a touch of orange as well. And this means you're less likely to have the color feel green leaning or dull in your space. It's honestly pretty similar to the color of real vanilla ice cream, not the plain old white stuff. Even though this color is pretty light and soft, I would be somewhat apprehensive to use throughout an entire home as a main color, especially a multi-story house that has tons of wall space to cover. And the main reason for that is that warm color cast that the color can bring. It can reflect that warmth into the space, which may or may not be what you're going for. This is why a lot of people will default to a more neutral color that isn't too warm or too cold, just because it's kind of a nice baseline. This definitely is on the warmer side of things. I do appreciate Vanillin as a secondary color in certain rooms. That way you'll notice it even more. It's not going to just blend into the background like it would if it was the one color you used. By having other colors to coordinate with it, it could be featured a bit more, which is nice. Also, I don't always recommend yellow for kitchens, but this is one that I could see working quite well because it will really liven up the space that should make you feel very cheery while cooking. It just has this great combination of bright and cheery mixed with a subtle softness as well to just finish the whole color. What about the other colors to go with it? Well, I did mention that I could see other colors being more prominently used in this palette, specifically a color like Heron Plume, which I think is an excellent complementary choice, essentially bringing you a color of similar brightness, but instead of warm creamy yellow, what you have here is a neutral warm gray that has the faintest bit of violet as its undertone. Now, purple and yellow, they're pretty complementary, which means they will accentuate each other in a very dynamic fashion. But the purple in Heron Plume is so passive that it will be nothing more than almost a subconscious effect. You'll just notice it pop a little bit more. And that effect is really beneficial here because next to Heron Plume, Vanillin will really pop off that much more. So I do see Heron Plume being the more default neutral for the connecting spaces for your home, potentially, just as a sort of a starting point. Next, we have a much darker approach to taupe in Spalding Gray. You could say that there's a dash of that purple in the undertones here as well, but we're more so looking at a combination of mid-tone gray and sort of a shaded chocolate brown. You can even check out this photo right here. You can see that little bit of Vanillin, that little square that sort of has that coloration next to Spalding Gray, and it really shows the beautiful dynamic relationship that these two colors can have. It can give you some ideas on how to incorporate these colors together, whether they're in separate rooms for extremely different feels, or even in the same space where one is used in smaller pockets here and there. Spalding Gray is fairly neutral, all things considered, so you don't need to be too shy about using it in entire rooms, even if you wanted to throw it in the family room or maybe a bedroom or two. It's not going to look out of place. The next color is definitely the accent choice that maybe you want to use in one, maybe two rooms max. It's called Poseidon, named after the Greek god of the sea. This is an extremely deep and aquatic, vibrant blue-green, and while some teal-based colors that I recommend normally can be a bit shaded or toned down, this is a color that will really stand out aggressively. This is the kind of color you save for the show-off room in your home. Maybe the space that you don't spend a ton of time in, but you really want to turn it into a statement piece. And a color like this will definitely do that. I would not recommend Poseidon as an accent wall color in this palette. I think Spalding Gray would be an easier choice for that. But if you're looking for an accent room color where all the walls are being painted, or even using this color within some accessories or items within the room, it's a really good way of drawing the eye. I also have Alabaster as my recommended light trim and woodwork color. So if you were looking to paint your baseboards, doors, and frames with something nice and light, this would be the one that I'd recommend. And then something a bit darker to give you a little more intrigue would be a color called Khaki Shade, which is more of a mid-tone paint color, but it does borrow that warm aspect of Vanillin and the neutral aspect of the middle two colors, and a dash of Poseidon's Green to really give you something that works for pretty much all the colors here. I do think it suits Vanillin the best, though, as a trim and baseboard color. Here's the palette all together. Let me know what you think. And for more Sherwin Williams paint color action, right over here, there's your action button to press.